Captain Elias Trent leaned over the console, his eyes scanning the endless black of space. The starship Endeavour hummed softly beneath his feet, carrying its small crew deep into the uncharted regions of the Lithurian sector, a part of the galaxy rarely visited by humans. The mission had been routine at first: survey uninhabited star systems, collect data on energy anomalies, and avoid contact with alien civilizations that might see humans as a threat. But then the scanners picked up something unusual. A large spaceship, ancient by its design, floated lifelessly near the edge of a nebula. Its hull was cracked and scorched, and no life signs had been reported by the ship's logs yet. As Elias adjusted the sensors, one faint signal appeared: a heartbeat, almost imperceptible, pulsing like a tiny flicker of light in the darkness. "Captain, you need to see this," Lieutenant Mara Chen said, her voice tense. She pointed to the monitor. A small, pale figure lay curled inside the wreckage, partially shielded by twisted metal. "It's alive," she whispered. Elias felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. Humans had encountered many life forms before, but never anything like this. The sensors could not identify the species. The life signs were unlike anything recorded in human databases. He made a decision immediately: prepare the shuttle. "I'm going in," he said. The shuttle detached from the Endeavour and glided silently toward the damaged ship. The airlock of the wrecked vessel had sealed itself, but the shuttle's tools managed to pry it open. The interior was dim, lit only by flickering emergency lights. Broken panels and wires dangled like vines, and the air was thick with dust and the faint smell of ozone. Then Elias saw her. The figure lay on a raised platform in the center of the chamber. Her skin shimmered faintly with an iridescent glow, soft shades of blue and violet that changed with every tiny movement she made. She was humanoid in shape, but taller and more delicate than any human. Her hair seemed to float around her like strands of light, and her eyes, when they flickered open, were larger than normal, shining with intelligence and fear. She looked at Elias for a moment, barely aware, then her body shivered. The sensors registered that her vital signs were failing rapidly. Without thinking, Elias entered the room and knelt beside her. "Stay with me," he said softly. His hands hovered over her chest, unsure if touch alone could help, yet drawn to do something. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. Something happened. A wave of warmth spread from his palm into her body, and the faint pulse of life in her chest grew stronger. Elias stepped back, astonished. He had no explanation for what had just occurred. Human hands did not normally affect alien biology in this way, yet somehow, his touch had stabilized her, if only slightly. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled through the communicator. "Captain, are you seeing this? The readings, they're changing. Vital signs are improving." Elias nodded, unable to speak for a moment. He looked into the princess's eyes again, realizing she was the last survivor of the vessel. There was no one else on board. Whoever had attacked or destroyed the ship had left her behind, or perhaps the vessel had suffered a malfunction that caused the crash. "Get a medical team ready," Elias said. "We're bringing her back to the shuttle." The operation was delicate. The princess was extremely light, her body almost fragile. Every movement had to be careful, precise, as the shuttle engines roared softly, carrying them away from the drifting wreckage. Elias kept his hand near hers. There was a subtle connection, something beyond science, that he could not explain. She stirred slightly, her glowing eyes blinking slowly, as if recognizing him. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, King Veron, ruler of Lithuria, paced in the golden halls of his palace. His advisors surrounded him, their faces tight with worry. A distress signal had reached them, a message sent automatically from the princess's ship. The signal indicated that the royal heir had suffered a near-fatal accident in uncharted space. King Veron's voice was barely audible, trembling with disbelief. It cannot be. A human?" The advisors exchanged uneasy glances. Humans were considered weak, insignificant. Their biology was fragile compared to the Lithurians, who had evolved with energy systems far beyond what humans could even imagine. And yet, the king's daughter's life depended on the mercy of one. Back on the shuttle, Elias monitored her vital signs. She was stable, but still extremely weak. Her breathing was shallow, her glowing skin flickering like a dying star. He adjusted the life support systems to simulate the energy patterns detected from her species. But nothing worked as efficiently as his touch had. Captain, Lieutenant Chen's voice was soft, almost reverent. She's responding to you, not the machines. Elias swallowed. It's hard to explain, he admitted. I don't know why, but she's alive because of us. Or me? I don't know yet. The shuttle arrived at a hidden human outpost near the edge of Lithurian space. Protocols required extreme caution. No alien species could be allowed to wander in human facilities unchecked. Yet Elias refused to. Leave her alone. The medical team was briefed, and they worked quietly, observing Elias's methods. Hours passed. The princess's breathing grew more regular. She opened her eyes fully. Blinking at the bright lights of the medical chamber, her gaze fell on Elias, and she tried to speak, producing soft musical sounds, not words. It seemed to be a language of thought and vibration. Elias leaned closer, listening to the tone. Trying to understand. She's trying to communicate, said Dr. Rena Soul, head of medical operations. Her energy patterns are unusual. It's as if she recognizes your presence. Elias nodded slowly. I think she does. Somehow, she knows I'm here to help, for the first time. The princess managed to speak a single word, in a voice that resonated in Elias's mind rather than his ears. Human, the word startled him, and yet it carried no fear, only recognition. It was as if she had sensed something in humans that others could not. Something vital. Meanwhile, the news reached King Veron. His advisors argued fiercely. Some demanded that humans be eliminated for touching the princess, claiming it violated royal protocol. Others hesitated, recognizing that the princess's life had been preserved by the very creature they considered fragile. The king stood in silence, gazing at the star maps that showed the human shuttle approaching Lithurian space. His daughter was alive because of a human and unthinkable notion. And yet, deep in his heart, he could not deny the evidence before him. Prepare a vessel, he finally said, his voice steady but tense. We will meet this human, but caution is required. If he harms her, there will be consequences. Back at the human outpost, Elias sat beside the princess, her glowing hands barely lifting to touch his arm in a gesture of trust. The bond between them, delicate and mysterious, had begun. The universe beyond their small shuttle was filled with uncertainty, danger, and secrets. But in this moment, a human had touched a dying alien princess and, in doing so, had changed the course of fate. As night fell on the outpost, Elias stared at the stars, wondering what challenges awaited them. The princess was stable, yet fragile. Her race's survival, and perhaps the balance of power in this part of the galaxy, could now hinge on the human touch he had given. Somewhere, far away in the golden halls of Lithuria, King Veron whispered again, barely audible. It cannot be. But Elias, unaware of the king's thoughts, simply held the princess's hand, feeling the faint pulse of life and hope. A new chapter had begun, not just for her, but for humanity as well. The stars outside twinkled silently, witnessing the improbable bond forming between two very different beings. In that quiet space between life and death, fear and hope, the human touch had sparked something extraordinary, a promise that the story of courage, compassion, and discovery was only just beginning. The human outpost was quiet, humming with the soft vibrations of advanced machinery. Princess Aurelia lay on the medical platform, her glowing skin brighter than before, her breath steadier. Yet despite her fragile appearance, her eyes held curiosity and intelligence, flickering like distant stars. She was recovering, slowly but unmistakably. Captain Elias Trent had stayed by her side since the moment she awoke. He had learned to interpret her subtle movements and sounds. The musical tones she produced were not words as humans knew them, but each note carried meaning. With patience and careful observation, Elias began to understand a simple pattern. She's trying to communicate, he said, pointing to her glowing hands as they moved in gentle arcs. It's almost like thought impressions. Dr. Rena Soul, observing from nearby, nodded. Her species uses energy patterns in addition to vocalization, but humans don't naturally perceive them. You seem to be an exception. Elias frowned. I don't know why. Maybe it's just instinct. As days passed, the connection between Elias and Aurelia grew. When he held her hand, she seemed calmer, her energy stabilizing. When he spoke softly, she responded with flashes of color in her skin and small melodic tones. It became clear to the human medical team that his touch was doing more than comforting her, it was sustaining her life. Meanwhile, the Lithirian king, Veron, could not ignore the news. His advisors delivered detailed reports of the human captain and the princess's recovery. Some of them were furious. It cannot be. One council member exclaimed, a human. The fragile, untested humans cannot be allowed near the royal heir. This is a violation of our laws. Another advisor tried to reason, yet her life has been preserved. No Lithirian skill or device could have done this alone. Perhaps there is something in humans we have underestimated. King Veron remained silent, pacing in his golden hall. His daughter, his only heir, had been touched by a human. She was alive because of one. It was impossible, and yet undeniable. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm but carrying the weight of authority. Prepare a vessel. I will observe this human, personally. My daughter's life cannot be left to chance, but I must see this for myself. Back at the outpost, Elias worked tirelessly. The medical team had designed machines to emulate Lithirian energy fields, yet none had the stabilizing effect that his hands produced. He began experimenting carefully, observing how the princess's energy responded to different forms of touch, tone, and movement. Aurelia seemed to understand. She lifted a delicate hand and allowed him to guide her movements. In response, her body glowed brighter, the weak flickers of life growing into a steady luminescence. The human medical team was astonished. Captain, Dr. Soul whispered, her vital signs are improving faster than predicted. It's as if she senses your intentions. She's responding to your empathy. Elias leaned closer. Empathy, or something unique in humans. Something Lithirians may never have had. Aurelia made a small musical sound, almost a laugh. It was the first sign of personality since her rival. She raised her hand to brush against his arm lightly, a gesture that spoke trust and gratitude. Elias understood it as clearly as any spoken word. While Aurelia recovered, King Veron's vessel approached human space. His advisors had warned him repeatedly. Some urging caution, others urging dismissal. Humans were unpredictable, fragile, and weak compared to Lithirians. Yet here was proof they could sustain a royal heir when Lithirian technology and knowledge had failed. The king's vessel arrived in orbit over the outpost, a golden ship radiating authority. As the docking clamps engaged, Veron's mind was a storm of conflicting thoughts. Humans were dangerous in their unpredictability, yet they had achieved the impossible. What kind of being could possess such resilience inside the medical chamber? Aurelia was now sitting up, supported by soft cushions. Her glowing hair seemed to shimmer more brightly, responding to her renewed energy. She looked at Elias with curiosity, tilting her head. Then, in a gesture that surprised even the humans, she reached out with both hands toward him. Elias hesitated for a moment. Every protocol he had been taught warned against uncontrolled contact with alien royalty. Yet he could not refuse. Slowly, he placed his hands in hers. Immediately, a gentle wave of energy passed between them. Elias felt warmth radiate through his arms. A strange sense of connection, as if her thoughts were brushing against his mind. He had never experienced anything like it. She trusts you, Dr. Soul murmured. Her energy patterns, they are synchronized with yours. This is extraordinary. The king's observation vessel hovered silently above, scanning the outpost with precision instruments. From his golden chamber, Veron could see the faint energy emissions through the ship's sensors. His daughter was alive, and the readings were changing. The human was doing what no Lithirian could. Veron whispered to himself, awe and disbelief mixing in his tone. It cannot be but human. The council within the vessel argued fiercely. Some insisted on immediate action, fearing the human might harm the princess. Others urged patience, pointing to the undeniable facts. The princess was recovering under his care, and any interference could endanger her life. As tensions rose aboard the Lithurian ship, Elias and Aurelia began a silent conversation through their connection. She produced soft harmonic tones, which Elias interpreted through observation and intuition. Her gestures became more deliberate, almost as if she were teaching him her language. "You can understand her?" Dr. Soul asked quietly. "Yes," Elias replied. "Not fully, but I can feel what she means. It's like sensing her emotions directly. Humans are unique that way. We can connect, even across species." Aurelia responded with a small flicker of light along her arms, a gesture of acknowledgement. Then, tentatively, she lifted a tiny hand to touch his face. Elias froze for a moment, respecting her space, but allowed it. The energy wave that passed between them was brief, but it carried something beyond life. It carried trust and understanding. The human medical team watched silently, amazed. No Lithurian had ever been able to achieve this level of connection. With a member of the royal family, even the king, observing remotely, could sense the unusual nature of the bond forming between human and princess. Days passed, and Aurelia's strength increased. She could now sit without support, speak in simple musical tones, and react to her environment. Each time Elias touched her, her energy seemed to stabilize further. The connection was mutual. He felt it too, an echo of vitality and resilience he had never known humans could carry. Finally, the Lithurian king decided to intervene personally. His vessel descended and docked at the human outpost. Guards and advisors accompanied him, weapons ready, though none dared act against a human who had saved the princess's life. King Veron entered the medical chamber, his golden robes glinting softly in the ambient light. He stopped at the threshold, staring at the scene before him. Princess Aurelia was sitting upright, her glow steady and bright, her hands resting lightly on Captain Elias Trent's. The human remained calm, his presence strong yet respectful. For a moment, the king said nothing. Then, barely above a whisper, he repeated the words that had haunted him since he first learned of the human. "It cannot be." Elias met the king's gaze. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing slightly, "I mean no harm. I only wish to help your daughter survive." Veron's advisors gasped, some in anger, others in cautious awe. The king's eyes, however, were focused solely on the human who had touched the royal heir and had kept her alive. Aurelia, sensing the tension, reached out and lifted a delicate hand toward the king. The gesture was simple, but the meaning was clear. She trusted him too. But she had survived because of Elias. The king's mind raced. He had always believed humans were weak, incapable of real strength. Yet here was proof to the contrary. And if one human could sustain the life of a Lithurian princess, perhaps humans were not what he had thought. As the first part of this interspecies story drew to a close, the king finally spoke to Elias. His tone cautious but measured. "You have saved her, but understand this: your actions have consequences. The royal family will watch closely. One misstep, and it will not be forgiven." Elias nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty, but I will not abandon her. Not now, not ever." And for the first time, Aurelia smiled faintly, a soft glow emanating from her that filled the room with warmth. In that quiet moment, the boundaries of species, culture, and expectation began to blur. A forbidden connection had been forged, one that could change the fate of Lithuria, humanity, and the galaxy beyond. The days that followed were filled with quiet routines, medical checks, and careful observation. Princess Aurelia had regained strength, though her glowing energy still pulsed unevenly, hinting at the fragility of her condition. Captain Elias Trent remained by her side, patient, observant, and ready to act at the slightest sign of danger. What surprised everyone most was the way Aurelia responded to Elias. Her glowing skin shifted in rhythm with his voice and movements, her energy patterns sensing in ways no technology could replicate. Even the most advanced Lithurian devices failed to stabilize her alone. Yet the human's presence made her stronger. Dr. Rena Soul, still in awe of the phenomenon, spoke quietly to Elias one morning. I've never seen anything like this. Your biology, your emotions, they're interacting with hers. Somehow, humans are compatible with Lithirian life in ways we never imagined. Elias nodded slowly. It's strange. I don't feel anything unusual, really, just concern for her. But apparently, that's enough. Aurelia, now able to speak simple phrases in her melodic language, communicated her thoughts more clearly. She expressed gratitude, curiosity, and even a hint of amusement. Elias noticed how her eyes sparkled when she explored simple human tools, like data pads and holographic displays. She seemed fascinated by humans by their unpredictability, resilience, and emotional depth. Meanwhile, across the stars, King Veron could not rest. His daughter had survived, yes, but she had survived because of a human, a creature he had always considered insignificant. The advisors had warned him not to trust humans, but even their reports could not hide the facts. They are different, he admitted aloud to no one, pacing in his golden chamber. And perhaps stronger than we thought. But can this strength be trusted? He had sent scouts to observe the human outpost and Captain Trent. The scans confirmed what the king already feared. The human was steady, courageous, and remarkably intelligent. He adapted quickly to unfamiliar technology and environments, something no Lithirian could achieve without extensive preparation. The king whispered, "It cannot be." A human. Back at the outpost, Elias began experimenting carefully with Aurelia's energy fields. He noticed that by placing his hands near her or speaking in calm tones, he could subtly influence her energy. It was as if the human ability to adapt, empathize, and act intuitively was amplifying her life force. "Captain," Dr. Soul said one afternoon, "I think you're discovering something remarkable. Humans have advantages that Lithirians never developed. Our species relies on controlled energy and technology. But humans, your resilience, your adaptability, even your emotions are a kind of strength." Elias frowned thoughtfully. Strength? From emotions? I never thought of it that way. Aurelia looked at him, tilting her head. A soft tone escaped her lips, almost musical, like laughter. She reached out and touched his arm lightly. The connection pulsed through him, and he felt a wave of warmth and clarity. It was not just life-saving, it was a bond, a shared energy that neither fully understood. As the princess regained more strength, she began testing her limits. She attempted short walks within the med chamber, supported by Elias. Each step brought a faint glow from her body, evidence that her life energy was growing stronger. The human's presence and guidance had awakened something within her latent vitality. Her species had not accessed in isolation. King Veron, observing from orbit, could sense these changes. The human's touch was not only preserving life, it was enhancing it. The realization unsettled him. If humans were capable of amplifying Lithirian energy fields with nothing more than touch and intent, then perhaps the galaxy had underestimated them all along. "Show me this human's abilities directly," he commanded. "I must understand the source of this phenomenon." A delegation arrived at the outpost, escorted by King Veron himself. He entered the medical chamber with a silent, commanding presence. The golden glow of his robes reflected in Aurelia's luminous skin, creating an almost ethereal light. The princess looked at him, then at Elias, as if explaining silently, "He is the one who saved me." The king's voice was firm but measured. "Captain Trent, you have done the impossible. My daughter lives because of your touch. Explain this." "Ability," Elias bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I don't fully understand it myself. It seems humans have a natural ability to connect with other life forms. My empathy, concern, and perhaps our adaptability allow us to influence energy patterns in ways Lithirians have not learned to do. I only acted to save her life." The king studied him intently, weighing the words. "Adaptability, empathy. These are human traits. You say your presence alone can strengthen life energy?" "Yes, Your Majesty," Elias replied. "It's not magic or technology. It's human resilience. The ability to act even when conditions are unpredictable, to persist despite danger, and to care for a long moment silence filled the chamber. Then Aurelia, with her melodic voice, repeated a phrase that echoed in Eliza's mind. A simple pattern of sounds: trust, human. The king's advisors whispered among themselves. Some argued that humans could not be trusted, still clinging to centuries of prejudice. Others paused, realizing that the proof was undeniable. The human had preserved the life of a Lithirian royal heir in ways none of them could replicate. Veron finally spoke, slowly, deliberately. Perhaps we have judged humans too harshly. If one human can achieve this, then what are they truly capable of? As the observation continued, a subtle change became clear. Aurelia's energy pulses were not only stable, they were improving. The human's presence seemed to unlock a deeper potential in her, a vitality that had never been seen in Lithirian records. Machines could measure strength and energy levels, but nothing could account for the effect of the human touch. Elias noticed it too. Each time he guided her hands or spoke softly while maintaining eye contact, her energy flickered brighter, her movements more fluid, her tone more confident. The bond was no longer just about survival, it was a connection that allowed both human and alien to influence and support one another. The king's vessel lingered in orbit, silent but observant. Reports from the human medics confirmed what he suspected. The human's touch and presence were extraordinary, capable of enhancing life itself. Veron had never faced a situation like this. Humans, creatures he had once dismissed as weak, were demonstrating qualities Lithirians had not cultivated. At night, when the observation party withdrew, Elias sat beside Aurelia. She looked up at him, her glowing eyes reflecting faint traces of starlight from the outpost observation windows. "You saved me," she whispered in her melodic language, her tone almost musical. Elias understood the meaning, not the words. "You're alive," he replied softly. "That's what matters." She reached out, touching his arm lightly. The glow that passed between them was warm, reassuring, and full of quiet understanding. It was a connection neither species could fully explain, yet both felt its truth. Meanwhile, the king, watching the data, finally spoke aloud, a whisper full of wonder and fear. It cannot be. A human, and yet, deep in his mind, he could not deny what he had witnessed. Humans were resilient. Humans were adaptable. Humans, when guided by courage and compassion, possessed abilities Lithirians had never imagined. The human captain had not only saved the princess, he had revealed the untapped potential of an entire species. The night ended with quiet reflection. Aurelia rested, her energy stabilized and increasing. Elias remained vigilant, sensing the delicate balance between life and fragility, between human intuition and alien biology. The universe beyond the outpost waited, full of dangers, mysteries, and possibilities. And for the first time, the Lithirian king began to wonder if the humans, whom he had long underestimated, might hold the key to the survival and future of not just one princess, but perhaps the galaxy itself. The calm that had settled over the human outpost was shattered by a sudden alert. Red warning lights flashed, and alarms rang through the corridors. Captain Elias Trent jumped from his seat, heart pounding. The sensor screen showed a massive energy disturbance approaching Lithiria at impossible speed. "What is it?" Lieutenant Mara Chen asked, her voice tense. "Unknown," Elias replied. He studied the readings. The energy signature was enormous, consuming, like nothing they had seen before. "Whatever it is, it's dangerous." Dr. Rena Soul, monitoring the alien princess's condition, glanced nervously at Elias. "We need to protect Lithiria and Aurelia. If she's exposed to this, her life could be at risk again." The warning came from the Planetary Defense Network. Lithiria's sensors had detected the approach of the Void Marauder, a legendary cosmic predator. The Marauders were beings of pure energy, capable of draining life from stars, planets, and living creatures alike. Entire civilizations had fallen to them. King Veron's voice crackled through the communicator. "Captain Trent, you must act. My planet, my people, even my daughter's life, are at stake. If the Marauder reaches Lithiria, it will consume everything." Elias took a deep breath. The princess was now sitting upright, glowing steadily, but still fragile. Her life force had been strengthened by his touch, yet he knew she could not survive a direct encounter with the Marauder alone. "Your Majesty," Elias said firmly, "I think humans can help more than just keep her alive. We can amplify her energy, make it strong enough to power your shields. But I'll need her cooperation, and she'll need me at her side." Aurelia's glowing eyes met his. She tilted her head and produced a soft tone, almost like a question. Elias understood it instantly. "I trust you," the king's advisors argued, as always. Some insisted that involving a human in planetary defense was too risky. Others saw the logic in Elias's plan. They had watched the humans stabilize the princess's life against impossible odds. Could he also help save the entire planet? Veron finally spoke. "You may proceed, but failure is not an option." Elias turned to Aurelia. "We'll do this together. You're stronger now, and I'll be right here." The princess nodded, lifting her hands in a gesture of readiness. Her glow brightened, responding to Elias's presence. He placed his hands gently near hers, guiding her energy. He could feel it pulsing beneath his fingers, unstable but full of potential. "We need to synchronize our energy patterns," Elias explained. "Humans can amplify it. If we focus," Aurelia's melodic tones flowed around him, her hands moving as if shaping invisible waves of light. Elias mimicked her movements, focusing his mind and emotions. Slowly, the two began to align, human empathy and alien energy merging into a single pulse. Outside, the Void Marauder grew closer, a massive storm of glowing energy consuming the space around it. Its presence caused planets nearby to dim, as if its hunger drained the light itself. The Lithirian planetary shields began to falter under its approach. "Captain Trent," Dr. Soul said, urgency in her voice, "the shields won't hold. You need to act now." Elias inhaled deeply. He could feel Aurelia's energy responding to him, fluctuating, waiting. Humans thrived in unpredictability, and he knew this was the moment to use that strength. He closed his eyes for a moment, focusing on calm, determination, and willpower. Then he placed both hands fully on hers, connecting. A surge of energy passed between them. Aurelia's glow intensified, and the shields around Litheria began to pulse with renewed strength. The human-human-alien bond created a resonance that neither species alone could achieve. The Marauder's approach slowed, as if sensing resistance it had not expected. King Veron watched in awe. "Impossible, a human. Amplifying Lithirian energy?" he whispered. The Marauder released its first attack, a wave of consuming energy aimed at Litheria. The planetary shields flickered dangerously, but Aurelia, guided by Elias, pushed back with all her strength. Light erupted in brilliant waves, spreading across the planet's surface. The human captain focused on one thing: survival, protection, and hope. Lieutenant Chen and Dr. Soul worked frantically to maintain support systems, monitoring the energy flows between human and princess. They had never witnessed anything like this. The Marauder was powerful, yet it faltered under the sheer determination of human courage combined with alien life energy. The attack escalated. The Marauder sent multiple streams of energy toward the planet, each one stronger than the last. But Elias remained calm. He knew that humans were resilient. They could endure unpredictability, adapt, and keep fighting even when odds seemed impossible. "Stay with me," Elias murmured to Aurelia. "We can do this together." Aurelia's eyes glowed brighter, her energy stabilizing with his guidance. The bond was now stronger than before, a living bridge of strength between two species. The Marauder's waves hit the shields and bounced off, unable to penetrate the combined energy field. From orbit, King Veron and his advisors watched in stunned silence. The human was not only saving the princess, he was helping her save the planet. The implications were overwhelming. Humans, creatures once considered weak, were demonstrating power through resilience, adaptability, and empathy. Elias continued to focus. Each attack from the Marauder required precise coordination. He adjusted his rhythm, matching Aurelia's energy flows, predicting the creature's moves instinctively. His actions were not programmed or controlled, they were human. Spontaneous, courageous, and determined. Finally, the Marauder released its most powerful surge yet. The shields strained, the sky over Litheria lit with brilliant energy storms. The princess's glow flickered dangerously. Elias tightened his grip on her hands, channeling every ounce of his willpower. Together, he whispered, "We can do this. I won't let it win." Aurelia responded with a harmonic tone, her energy stabilizing. A radiant pulse burst outward from the outpost, spreading across the planet like a protective wave. The Marauder recoiled, its energy dispersing as it encountered resistance stronger than it had ever faced. For a tense moment, silence reigned. Then the creature, overwhelmed by the human-alien bond, began to retreat, its energy dissipating into the void. Litheria's shields held, and the planet was safe. Cheers erupted from the human team, though Elias remained focused, ensuring Aurelia's stability. The princess, now glowing steadily, leaned slightly against him, her energy fully aligned and strong. She looked up at him, melodic tones vibrating softly in recognition. "You did it," Dr. Soul said, smiling with relief. "You both did it?" Elias nodded, exhausted but satisfied. "We did it." Together, from orbit, King Veron remained silent, staring at the readings. His daughter had survived, and Litheria had been saved. Not by Litherian technology alone, not by raw strength, but by the courage, adaptability, and empathy of a human. For the first time, he spoke with reverence rather than disbelief. "It can be. A human," he whispered, the words carrying awe and respect. Aurelia's gaze met her father's. Though still fragile, she was alive and stronger than before. She had experienced what humans could offer: courage, compassion, and an unpredictable strength that no Litherian alone could replicate. Elias, exhausted but resolute, finally allowed himself to relax. He had saved her life once again, and this time, the stakes had been far greater. Together, human and princess had faced a cosmic predator and emerged victorious. As night fell on Litheria, the stars shone brighter than ever. The Marauder was gone, the planet safe, and a new respect had begun to grow between species, across galaxies, and in the hearts of those who had witnessed the impossible in the quiet aftermath. Elias looked at Aurelia. "We've proven something today," he said softly. "Not just for you, but for all of us." Aurelia's eyes glowed in response, her tone vibrating softly, almost like laughter. Elias understood the meaning. "Yes, together, we are stronger." King Veron, observing silently, made a decision that would change Litherian history. Humans were no longer creatures to be dismissed. They were resilient, adaptable, and capable of greatness. And one human, Captain Elias Trent, had just proven it beyond any doubt. The universe was vast and dangerous, but for the first time, humans had shown that courage and empathy could not only save a life, but protect a world. The aftermath of the Void Marauders' attack left Litheria shaken but intact. The planet's cities glowed under their protective energy fields, and the people cautiously emerged from shelters, whispering tales of the human who had fought alongside their princess. Captain Elias Trent stood beside Princess Aurelia on the observation balcony of the human outpost. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a canvas of possibility. Aurelia's glow had returned to a steady, radiant pulse, and she moved with grace and confidence that had been absent only days before. "You were amazing," Elias said quietly. "I didn't know humans could do this, but somehow we did it together." Aurelia turned her glowing eyes on him, producing soft melodic tones that he had come to understand. "You human saved many," she said, her voice musical yet clear. Elias smiled, feeling the weight of her words. Dr. Rena's soul approached, her face bright with relief. "The Marauder is gone, and the planet is stable. Your energy, Captain, combined with hers, created a shield stronger than anything we've ever recorded. Truly remarkable." Elias nodded humbly. "We were lucky and persistent. Humans have a way of holding on when things seem impossible." Word of the humans' role spread quickly across Litheria. The royal advisors, once skeptical and hostile, began to reconsider centuries of prejudice. The king's vessel remained in orbit, silent but observant, as Veron himself processed what he had witnessed. He had watched the human captain stabilize his daughter, amplify her life energy, and help repel a cosmic predator. The evidence was undeniable. Humans were far stronger, more adaptable, and capable of courage that even Lithurians could scarcely imagine. King Veron finally spoke to his council. This human has proven that our assumptions about humans were wrong. He possesses courage, adaptability, and resilience that surpass expectation. He has saved my daughter. He has saved Lithuria. A murmur of astonishment spread among the council. Some members bowed in respect, while others remained hesitant. Yet even the most skeptical could not deny the undeniable truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were extraordinary. Back on the outpost, Aurelia stood fully upright for the first time since her arrival. She looked at Elias with an expression that combined trust, admiration, and gratitude. Her glow radiated warmth and strength, a reflection of both her recovery and the bond they had formed. "You have changed me," she said softly, her melodic tone vibrating through the room. "I pay him stronger. Because of you." Elias smiled gently. "You were always strong, Aurelia. I just helped you see it." As the days passed, Aurelia explored the outpost with curiosity. She marveled at human technology, finding delight in its unpredictability and practicality. She watched humans adapt to situations quickly, improvising solutions with creativity and determination. She began to understand why humans, despite their fragile appearance, could achieve remarkable things. King Veron requested a private meeting with Elias and Aurelia. The golden halls of the Lithurian palace were awe-inspiring, but the king's eyes were focused solely on the human standing before him. "Captain Trent," he began, his voice measured, yet carrying deep respect. "You have done what no Lithurian alone could. You have saved my daughter, and in doing so, revealed truths we have ignored for centuries. Humans are not weak. They are capable, remarkable, perhaps even essential for the survival of the galaxy." Elias bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I only did what any human would do in my place. We care for others, and we do not give up. That is all." The king studied him silently for a long moment. Then, with a slow nod, he declared, "It can be." A human. His whisper from the past had transformed into acknowledgement and respect. Aurelia approached her father, glowing brightly, and produced a soft harmonic tone. The king responded, his expression softening. He had seen the impossible. A human had touched, healed, and empowered his daughter, saving not only her life but the entire planet. And in doing so, humans had earned a place in Lithurian trust. The council, once hesitant, now celebrated the human captain's bravery. Plans were made to honor him and to strengthen diplomatic ties between Lithurians and humanity. Humans would no longer be dismissed as fragile outsiders. They were partners, allies, and capable beings in their own right. Elias remained humble. Though praised and celebrated, he knew the universe was vast, full of dangers, and always testing the limits of courage and empathy. He had saved a life, helped repel a cosmic threat, and changed how an entire alien civilization viewed humanity. Yet he understood that these were only the first steps. Aurelia, now fully recovered, joined him on the balcony once more. The stars reflected in her glowing eyes, bright and unafraid. She spoke in her melodic tone, simple yet clear. "We will face future together." Elias nodded. "Yes, together. Humans, Lithurians, allies." The story of their bond spread across the galaxy, inspiring humans and aliens alike. Tales of courage, adaptability, and empathy reached distant star systems. Humans became known not merely as explorers or settlers, but as a species capable of extraordinary compassion and resilience. As the sun set on Lithuria, the planet bathed in golden light, Captain Elias Trent looked toward the horizon. Aurelia's hand rested lightly on his, her glow radiating calm strength. The universe was full of challenges, mysteries, and dangers yet to come. But for the first time, humans had shown that courage, determination, and empathy could reshape destiny. King Veron, observing from his palace, whispered once more, this time with rather than disbelief, "It can be." A human, and in that acknowledgement, a new chapter began not just for Aurelia, Elias, and Letheria but for humanity itself. A species once considered fragile had proven its worth, not through conquest or power, but through resilience, courage, and the simple, profound ability to care for others. The galaxy had seen the impossible, and the story of a human touching a dying alien princess had become a legend, a testament to the power of compassion and the boundless potential of the human spirit. Elias and Aurelia looked at each other, knowing that together they could face anything the universe might throw at them. The bond they shared was more than life-saving. It was a bridge between worlds, a living proof that even the most improbable connections could create strength greater than any one species could achieve alone. And so, Letheria flourished once more. The humans were welcomed as equals, and the legacy of Captain Elias Trent, the human who saved a dying alien princess, became a symbol of hope, courage, and the limitless possibilities that rose when humans dared to touch the lives of others. With compassion and determination, the stars outside continued to shine, silent witnesses to the triumph of trust, courage, and the extraordinary potential of a human heart.